in general, but I thought I would just give a quick rundown of sort of the organization for which I work on a broad scale and sort of start to get to the microscopic. I'm wearing a Conservation Legacy jacket here. Conservation Legacy is a national sort of collection or family of conservation corps. We have different programming all the way in Tennessee to the Southwest here with Southwest Conservation Corps and Arizona Conservation Corps. So, kind of zooming in a little bit, Arizona Conservation Corps has offices in Flagstaff, Tucson, and in the White Mountains. So I work exclusively out of our White Mountains operations, and actually I'm the only staff member that works out of there. So I'm not sure how many of you have been up there. It's a beautiful country. And rather than talking a lot about riparian restoration, which admittedly I have not as much experience with as some of the other people in this room, I thought I'd talk a little bit more about the people with which I work in the White Mountain Res. So, disclaimer, I'm not White Mountain Apache. I'm a Navajo and Hopi. I come from, my family is from the Tuba City area, and I'm from Mesa. Not first, second, or third, but I'm from Mesa. So the White Mountain Apache Reservation, I've been working out of the White Mountains for about 3 years almost. And in 2 of those years, I've been a program coordinator out there. And a little bit of sort of what I do out there is I recruit local community members to work on work crews to do conservation projects, not only in the immediate White Mountain area, but statewide. So let's see. So I recruit the people in the area, so like predominantly I work with the White Mountain Apache tribal members, but I don't exclusively work with them. I'll give you a little breakdown of a little bit of unscientific math I did earlier. So about 72% of our participants in our White Mountain office are White Mountain Apache. 10% are Navajo, and about 14 are Caucasian, while 4% are identified as Latino. A little bit more about the reservation itself. It's about 2,600 square miles, and it kind of, the elevation kind of goes from 5,000 to 11,000 feet, and they're about 15,000 members in the White Mountain Apache tribe. They're 80%, it's estimated about 80% of the tribal members are unemployed, which is kind of crazy. And just sort of get a little bit more of a focused number. Sibique, Arizona, which is kind of a remote town within the reservation, has the 6th highest unemployment rate in the country. I saw on Reddit the other day. So 35% of the people on that res have no high school diploma or GED. This will all become relevant soon. And the per cap income is about $9,700 compared to $16,700 in Navajo County. And 40% are below the poverty line compared to 15% statewide. So that kind of gives you a little snapshot of the economic straits that the Apache people, the White Mountain Apache people are under. So that's where we try to focus our tribal engagement efforts on getting unemployed people in the White Mountain area to work on these outdoor projects. A lot similar to what everybody has presented today in terms of restoration projects. More relevant in the White Mountains, it's an area that's been ravaged by wildfire over the last decade or so, and beyond that actually. The Rodeo Chetasquet fire burned almost 500,000 acres of forest, and most recently the Cedar fire burned like 40,000 acres. So what we do a lot in our office in the White Mountains is field reduction. So we get our crews trained up with chainsaw certifications, with our wilderness first aid certifications and CPR, in order so that they're safe and start going out to thin the forest. this is immediately relevant to them personally because we are locally recruiting. So they are working on their own homes to protect their own homes. And so the White Mountain Apache Tribe and the Tribal Forestry Department from them have been super helpful and invested in thinning that forest out and keeping it safe. We also partner with the Pinetop Fire Department and other local sort of ranger districts with the Forest Service to provide that same treatment. Kind of to give a quick little bit of rundown of numbers, with the tribal forestry, over the last 5 years or so, we've thinned almost 1,000 acres, just our crews by themselves. Every summer, we work a few months for them. Let's see what else. Other partnerships we have in the area are the Arizona Game and Fish, for whom we do a lot of fencing work, which is a little bit more relevant to the riparian stuff. We've been trying to partner with them in the near future with doing elk exclosures around Black River to protect willows and to contribute to the restoration efforts that are going on up there near Alpine. We also work with the National Park Service doing fencing as well. Fencing is super popular in that area. There's a lot of ranchers, and mainly what our fences do is keep out grazing cattle and to protect the sort of the fragile corridors there. A little bit about the challenges that I encounter in our program in White Mountains specifically. And these are actually challenges that probably are relevant to other tribal conservation corps, which regrettably some of my colleagues on the Hopi Res and the Acoma and the Zuni Pueblos were not able to attend today, but we kind of share the same sort of challenges, including the unemployment and the poverty stuff. But transportation. For our corps members, a lot of our participants do not have driver's licenses, and that usually is a huge barrier, and not only in terms of personal employment, but for our project implementation, because we have to have drivers to drive our corps members out to do these projects. So what I find a lot of success doing out there is just knocking on doors and finding out who has a like-minded mission as us, Arizona Conservation Corps. We are fortunate in the White Mountains to have a local advisory board, which consists of local proponents, professionals, not only tribal members, but other people in the area in Springerville and Sholo, who, unlike me, have lived in the White Mountains for their entire lives or decades. I've only been there for 3 years, so it's instrumental for me, invaluable for me to get that context through meeting and employing the vast knowledge that our local advisory board has. And part of that is to start looking forward into our program, trying to address some of these socioeconomic barriers for our corps members in a sustainable sense. So that involves an education program that we are trying to formulate and implement for our corps members to try to figure out how we can get them there, to be really detail oriented. One, to get their driver's licenses. That's one not easy, but one aspect of the program that we can improve. Provide financial literacy for our corps members, because a lot of our corps members never fill out a tax form in their lives, and that's one of the first things they do when they're going to apply for a job, even with us. So providing these different life skills, public speaking, which maybe I'm not the best example of that right now, but anyways, public speaking, higher education, and figuring out and connecting our corps members in a more quantitative sense to success beyond our program. It's something that we are working diligently on right now to implement hopefully this year. so that we can go beyond anecdotal evidence to really show people and show the Corps members themselves that just getting out there and doing this work is not only beneficial to the environment, that's super important, but beneficial to their own people, reservation beyond. I think I have a coworker here, my supervisor, who's here going to talk more in a broad sense about our organization, so I don't want to step on his toes. But that's kind of what I do. I can give a couple highlights of our operations. Besides the fuels reduction, we actually did work on a riparian project this past winter at Arnett Creek, just outside of Superior, kind of in Telegraph Canyon, Arnett Canyon area, which sort of wraps around Picket Post Mountain, if you're familiar. So that has been a multi-year project to protect the riparian habitat of Arnett Creek and the surrounding area. And it's sort of a three-pronged attack that we participated in. So one is fencing in that corridor. So our crews of the Arizona Conservation Corps have constructed over a mile, 5,960 feet of fence. And if you've ever been out there, that's tough, rugged terrain. And I wasn't involved with that personally, but I can imagine that it was hard work. So that's only one aspect of this project. The other aspect is the trail work that goes through the canyon, which is in order to discourage social trails and trampling on the fragile habitat there. And then most recently we participated in invasive species removal, removing the oleander, which if you live in this area, you are very familiar with. It's an invasive from Thailand, so we went in there and we cut it and we wrapped it up in tarp, put it on a unicyclic elk cart, and hauled it out 2 miles every day. So that gives you a little bit of an insight about what just the hard work that this crew does, our crews do, and I'm always so in awe of their commitment to be able to do this sort of stuff. And so that kind of gives you a little bit of context of one riparian project that we have been doing. And that is all in service of that ecosystem, because I understand that there's I think it's called the Gila top minnow, which is endemic to that creek. So yeah, just a little example there. Any questions? Sure.
So I'm with Gila River and we're looking to establish our own conservation corps. And my question is recruitment and retaining your crew. Have you had issues with that and trying to get your crew together?
Yeah, I think more so on the retention of the crew. Because there's such high unemployed numbers on the res, the recruitment usually happens pretty easily. It's just the diligence of the interview process and reference checking that really kind of determines the success of the crew. The retention is something that I reflect on all the time, trying to figure out how to better retain our core members, and it's different from program to program, because what might be a problem here for Gila River tribal members could be wholly different for White Mountain Apache core members. We are in a rural environment, so the transportation is a huge something that I'm trying to figure out creative ways to help, so that it lessens the barrier for success for our core members, whether that's providing a carpool or kind of like I was saying, sustainably trying to get our core members to get their driver's licenses so they can have tools at their disposal to get to work on time. That's just one. And then what we experience in the White Mountains too is a lot of our core members have young families. They're 18 to 20 years old. They already have 2 or 3 kids. So we want to try to give them that opportunity to participate on our projects, which are multi-day projects, we can't. So that's tough. So I'm trying to figure out ways I can connect our core members to resources so they may be able to find babysitters or something so they can focus on trying to step up that ladder a little bit. So I guess to answer your question a little bit more, it just differs. Like I don't know much about the Gila River community. I would hope to learn more about it, so maybe we can share some solutions. Any other questions?
Up here?
Yeah.
Does the Python Apache tribe have a work program in place? Because we have several here on the community for youth and for people that are seeking job employment opportunities.
There are several programs on the reservation, that are usually focused on sort of construction or like housing with housing authorities and stuff like that. Not a lot in terms of resource management that I'm aware of. I'm sure there are. I'm still learning the community, and I hope to learn the community for the next few more years. But there are those programs in place. We want to hopefully connect our core members in a tangible and relevant sense to resource management, because there's a lot of it that there's a lot of potential in that reservation. Like there's all sorts of different ecosystems and opportunities there. So.
Questions? All right, thank you, Kyle.